All right. I want us to transition to a different topic. John Mutunga, you have something to add?
No.
Okay, all right. I want us to transition because lately we've had the president talking about different things that he believes the previous administration was wrong about, and he spoke while unveiling the expansion of access to government services on online platforms to 5,000 of them, and he said that huduma number was a total fraud, that the country spent 15 billion shillings without getting any value out of it. And now he's proposing a new mode of identification, that is the digital ID, that is going to correct what huduma number did not correct. Honorable Kagucia, I mean, what is this about? Is it an obsession to call the previous administration names? Because he took part in the huduma number. He was part of those people that were early to register, and he even spoke about it, saying that it was going to be the single source of truth. What has changed in those 4 short years?
The 15 billion that was spent in quest for acquisition of the huduma number is what was really out of this world. And anyone would have been shocked and surprised to hear of those figures. It doesn't matter whether you took that huduma number or not. I mean, he did because he believed in digitization. And if you look at the way President is taking the whole issue of digitization, you realize that it's not something that he's just thinking about, but it's something that is really within him. And so he appreciated the issue of government digitization then, he does now. Just like he has taken up the issue of environment and conservation and tree planting. So really, that issue of that appreciation is not in question. The problem would be how much, at what cost? And really that's what the president is querying. Why did we have to spend 15 billion Kenya shillings for something that really doesn't seem to have added value? I have always carried my huduma card number and have been waiting for a day that I am going to be told how it was ever supposed to be used. Or how it would be benefiting me as a person, especially in accessing government services. You know, we listened to Mushero those days, and he was always over everything about how the huduma number was going to help and sort us. But he left before showing us how it was sorting us out, except having left with a whooping 15 billion Kenya shillings that we paid. That's painful.
He left with the money, or...
Pardon?
You're saying he left with the money? He
left with a whole of a whooping 15 billion Kenya shillings that now the Ruto administration has to pay painfully. And of course, you see this part of the money that was being borrowed. And this is where...
What do you mean the Ruto administration has to pay? It was never clear at that time.
I mean, it was borrowed money. We borrowed 15 billion Kenya shillings to make a huduma number that never worked or that never was. Are you getting? So now, painfully, as the Ruto administration is paying for the 21 to 25 billion Kenya shillings on the fuel subsidy, it is also going to be paying for another whooping 15 billion. Who? I mean, we borrowed from our donors, I mean, our lenders, mainly from China, you'd imagine. I mean, a lot of the money that...
You're saying Kenya borrowed 15 billion shillings to come up with huduma number?
It did. What happened, what has been happening is that we had very expensive ventures by the Jubilee administration or by the handshake administration. And these paradventures that we had at that time were being financed through loans. So you would have BBI, for example, that again would go...
Let's talk about huduma number. You don't lose me. Because you said that we borrow to pay it.
Yes.
And you don't have a specific person that brought that money here.
I mean, I would get you those records, and probably when I'm coming here next, I will give you better information and facts on that. But the issue is, for all the engagements that we had and that we were paying for in that administration, the handshake administration, we were borrowing heavily. And now you see, and you know the question here was, why does President Ruto have to refer to the issue of the handshake administration? And the reason is, he is painfully paying for some of the mistakes that were made then. For example, he's paying a whopping 15 billion Kenya shillings now in terms of repaying loans for money that really never was spent on anything that helped Kenyans. Now, look at how many services were digitized it was very few services. Now look at what the Ruto administration is doing, boosting all the way from, I think, about 200 and something services all the way to 5,000 services. And sooner than later, it's going to be up to 7,000 services. And you see, that is also going to be helping Kenyans a lot. Okay. And it's going to be helping the government a lot in terms of collections as well. Right. If you put people on e-citizen, it's going to reduce the...
You raise a lot of issues. I'm just wondering, do you know what those 5,000 services are?
I mean, you will be getting a listing of all of them, but largely they are in the issue of civil registration, they are in agriculture, they are also in health, they are also in various categories. I mean, you're going to be getting a listing of all these services.
The reason I'm asking that is that e-citizen has been on for several years now. Yeah. In fact, if you had to register a birth, death, if you had to register a new car, I mean, you go through that process, but then we will wait for the list of 5,000. No, let me hear from Honorable.
But I wanted to point out on something of the...
I'll give you another opportunity. Okay. Let me just hear from Honorable John Mutunga here. I'm just wondering, because if huduma number, which was really sold in this country, I remember it was